Hello, welcome back for another installment of these longer videos. Today I want to look at this idea that stronger people can actually look weaker on the surface. So what that means is that strong people are often developing these strategies in childhood to cope with life, to cope with the situation, maybe coping with a really dysfunctional family, that make them look weak on the surface. They can go into trauma reaction, pleaser or freeze, more withdrawn, more helping, or just being a good child, just being one of those really quiet, well-behaved children that aren't causing any problem, but they're paddling furiously under the surface, holding a lot of energy, holding a lot of emotion, just trying to get a better deal, often holding a lot of energy, a lot of emotion for parents, for other people in the family. Usually, in my experience, the strongest person in the family is often the sort of scapegoated child. It's the child who's maybe the most sort of passive or invisible in the system. But obviously this causes problems, and for that person as an adult there can be all the issues we've explored in terms of, pleaser types, that sort of personality, style, all those sorts of issues around receiving and having a voice. But if we clear away the layers, and I'm very privileged to get to do that with many wonderful clients over time, what we find out is that these are strong people. These are incredibly strong people. And they've had the strength as a young child to hold a lot, hold their feelings, hold their emotions, hold their stuff, and not just theirs, they're holding other people's as well. This is where it goes into scapegoating, or goes into enabling. The child enabling others through, carrying things for them, all these kind of codependency situations. But it takes strength to do that. So often this stronger person comes out of childhood as someone who can be quite passive or timid, very hyper vigilant, very aware, very empathic. A strong, sensitive person can read the room so well. People just walk in the room and they can attune in. They've had to become very good at reading other people. Once again, these are strengths, these are qualities. So it can look on the surface weak, it can look quite superficially powerless compared to someone who's making a lot of noise, someone who can be quite demanding, someone who can be very loud, vocal, maybe very rebellious, maybe very controlling, maybe very bullying, But when we scratch the surface there, what we find is that tends to be the weaker personality. It's a weaker person that needs to go to those more dominant, loud ways of controlling their world to feel safe. The narcissistic type is really the weakest personality structure. Empty vessels make the most noise. That might sound a bit harsh, but you know what I mean. People who don't have depth, who don't have access to deeper kind of parts of their being, a deeper soul connection, if they haven't got access to those deeper resources, they're more going to be like a cornered animal and have to go to those louder expressions to try to defend and feel safe. But people who stay for therapy, people who can do that deeper work, that reflective inner process work, that takes a lot of courage. It's very uncomfortable to face our demons, to go into the dark cavern and face our shadow material. And so by definition, people who really do therapy, not just counselling, not just talking about stuff, but really getting into that deeper process work, by definition, stronger people. Is it personality? Is it soul connection? Is it the maturity of the soul? Is it just how they're wired in the human? I think it's a combination of all these things. But I'm very blessed to work with so many remarkably strong people, but they don't even know it. They've come out of childhood carrying so much, and so much in that maybe more passive pleaser role, that they don't realize that no, they're actually a stronger person. Their defense mechanisms are the ones stronger people choose. In fact, these defense mechanisms and trauma reactions are more refined, they're more subtle, they're more sophisticated, and they actually work better than just a blanket fight reactive type, or just completely dissociating all the time. You know, the sort of pleaser, fix, rescue, enabler, this is very sophisticated ways to try to cope with life and get a better deal. So if you're listening to this, you could well be one of these sorts of people. You're already on the journey of personal development, inner work, self-reflection. So chances are you're already one of these people capable of more courageous introspection. I find therapy is like a filter, because people who just want to tell their story, just want someone to listen, and maybe they just want to stay maybe the victim in that story, well, they might find a counsellor who will put up with that. But as soon as they're prompted into deeper inquiry, more reflective, getting in touch with those deeper emotions, people like that find an excuse not to come back. They won't continue with the work. And so I positioned myself intentionally as a private practitioner, doing psychotherapy, deep psychology, hypnotherapy, that deeper inner work, because that's my passion, is to work with people like yourself who have that greater capacity for change, for growth, for healing, and having to pay for it, having to tolerate going into the uncomfortable places. Well, these are filters really that keep those who aren't quite ready for that in this lifetime away from the work. And so a stronger person, if we look at that even more deeply, when we get to the sort of soul aspects of that capacity, what we find is that people aren't just coping for themselves, they're not just strong for themselves. When we expand the consciousness out to soul level, what we find is that people will be coming in to serve as well. That going into very dark places and surviving that, healing out of that eventually, is not just for their own growth and evolution, that's lifting the load for the collective. That by healing that darkness out through their own journey, their own experience, they're actually raising the baseline in the collective. It's service work. It's incredibly powerful and beneficial for the collective, for all humanity, when someone heals out of very deep trauma, out of abuse, very dark places, because they're transmuting that energy not just for themselves. The ripple effect benefits everyone else. And as we now know, and I'm no quantum physicist, but as they're really proving through these deeper sciences now, is that quantum entanglement, we're all connected, we're all one, we're literally all one. And so when one person heals very dark energy for themselves, they're also serving everyone else. They're lifting the energetic of the collective. And that's what we're seeing in this gradual sort of evolution, uplifting, very slow but sure development in humanity. Doesn't look like it at the moment, because there's a lot of light coming in that's exposing a lot of darkness, and we're really seeing the truth being exposed in the world in terms of corruption and Satanism and pedophile rings and all these awful expressions of evil. But once again, the light is stronger than any darkness. Love is always infinitely stronger than fear. Fear is just a temporary absence of love. And so the strength of that in the world is changing the reality of what's around us as well. Anyway, I hope this lands, I hope it makes sense, I hope it resonates for you, and just a different way to see what's going on. And these people that might appear on the surface to be weak, small, lacking, might turn out they're actually one of these much more powerful, stronger people after all. See you next time.